Howdy y'all, Liam here. Hope everyone is having an amazing day. Alright, today we are going to be cooking tri-tip on the grill. Alright, so today we're just going to be using the gas grill because again, we're in a little bit of a hurry. I'm going to turn on the grill here, starting at the bottom. Turn it on at the propane tank. And then we're going to turn it on here. Get this thing started. Close it up, let it start the others. There one of them was, and there's the third one. Alright, so now all three are started up. We'll let this heat off, and then we'll go ahead and scrape it clean. And I'll cut back to when it's scraped clean and when it's hot. Alright, now that we're waiting for the barbecue to heat up a little bit, we have the tri-tip here. So what we're going to do is we're going to open it up, and then we're going to give it a little bit of a season so we can get this thing started. So what we're going to season it with is we're going to be using this Kinder's the steak blend. We're also going to be using a little bit of the same brand as what we use for the chicken, but this one is a steak and chop spice. And we're also just going to be throwing in a little bit of a ground black pepper. It's actually a peppercorn medley. So that'll just give it, neither of these two have any black pepper in it. So we're just going to give it a little bit of a pepper of this. So we'll start off with the Kinder's. What we're going to do is we're going to pour that nicely on top. Give it a little good on both. And then we're going to rub it into the meat. That's why they call it a dry rub, is when you rub it into the meat. If you just lather it on top and don't let it stick in there, it doesn't get all that flavoring all over where you really want it to get. It just kind of has it on top. And then we're going to go in with our steak and chop spice on top of the Kinder's. And we're going to go here. Rub that one in as well. We'll rub them in layer by layer. Do more of that. And then I can only, I have to put it down on this one because this one you actually have to grind it. But then we'll throw on the black peppercorn medley as well. So the other two seasonings, they have a bit of salt on them. So that's why normally when I do a steak, I'd always put salt on there as well. But because these other seasonings have salt on them already, we're not going to do any salt. So now we're just going to go on the other side of the steak with the same seasonings, same three. It doesn't really matter what order you put it in, as long as you get your seasoning, your seasoning on your meat, as long as your meat is seasoned. Now, some people over-season their meat, some people under-season their meat, and it's always better to go a little light on the seasoning than to go heavier, because meat itself has a very good flavor that'll draw itself out, especially when you barbecue it. So meat has flavor on its own, so you don't need to go too heavy on the seasoning if you don't have to, right? So if you feel like it, sure, go heavy on the seasoning, but don't go too heavy that it blotches out the natural flavoring of the beef itself, because the beef is really good once you're good. So it looks like it's hot enough to where we can scrape it. And so we'll scrape it a bit on here. I normally just go a little bit one time either side. A little bit in between here. Just really get the dirt off. I recently cleaned this. Normally I clean it both before and after I cook. So this will be good for now. We're going to lay it down on there, and you can hear it start to sizzle. And while it's on there, we'll just sprinkle this leftover seasoning that didn't go onto the meat. We'll sprinkle that on top because we don't want to waste any seasoning either. All right? We don't want to leave any seasoning just sitting there. So we're gonna leave this to sit. We're gonna do about 10 minutes on either side of the tri-tip. Then we'll take it off and we'll let it rest because you don't want to flip it too many times. With beef, you want to keep it there for about 10 minutes to get a nice crust. Go other side, nice crust. Take it off and let it rest because resting it will make the internal temperature go up. And the internal temperature will cook it from the inside out. So you want to cook it to about blue rare on the inside on the barbecue, and then let that blue rare cook itself up to a medium rare or rare. So we'll cut back to when it's time to flip. Alright y'all, it's been about 5 minutes that the steak's been on the grill. So what we're actually going to do is at this point, we're going to put our vegetables on the grill. We have some zucchini, yellow and green, and some lemon in there just to give the zucchini a little flavor. And we'll put that on there too. So that's what we're going to do there. And I'll see you back when it's time to flip the meat. Alright y'all, so it's been about 10 minutes for the steak on its side on the grill. So what we're going to do now is we're going to flip it. So you can see they got some nice grill marks there as we flip it. And we'll let it sit on there for about another 10 minutes. And then we should be good to take it off and let it rest for about 10-15 minutes to get fully nice on the inside. You know, I personally like my steak as rare as you can get, basically. So like seared on the outside but pink on the inside. But the rest of my family doesn't like it that rare, so I'm gonna compromise and go for a medium rare. So we'll let it cook on itself on the inside for a little bit, just while we let it rest. Otherwise, I'd be the only one enjoying the steak, and I don't want to do that. So here we go. I will cut back to when it's time to take off. All right, see you then. All right, so the meat is still cooking, but the veggies can be moved around a little bit. When you cook them on the grill, you don't want to burn them. You also don't want to move. You don't want to move anything around too much, but you definitely don't want to burn anything. So when you're cooking something on the grill, you can move it around once or twice, but that's about it. If you just keep moving around and playing with it, it doesn't cook as well as you want it to, unless it's ground beef, of course. Ground beef, you keep moving that. Eggs, you keep moving that. But a steak and vegetables like this, you just want to let it cook. It'll cook evenly on its own. So yeah, when it's time to take all this off, I'll cut back. Alright, so it has been about the full time on the steak. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the steak off and we're going to let it rest. Look at that sear. For about another 10 to 15 minutes. We'll just let it rest in itself over here. And we're going to position this over into the hotter section to give the veggies a little bit more of a sear. Alright, so it has been about 10 minutes here, closer to 15. But we are getting ready to cut open the meat. Okay, so the meat's been resting. Look at that nice sear on both sides. This one, not so much, but that one, that's a nice one. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to grab the knife and the prong, and we are going to just slice right into it. And you can see that it is nicely done. Alright, it's pink on the inside, which is what we're looking for, but it's got that gray band along the outside. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cut it into thinner strips, and then that'll be good. Alright y'all, so that is the end of today's video. Just wanted to give you one last look at that steak. This is a beauty right here. Nice and gray on the outside and nice and pink in the middle. Very juicy, as you can see. So let's take a bite out of it and see how it tastes. Very good. Yeah, as you could see from it, it was very juicy. The spices, on it go really well. Yeah, you can really taste this meat here too. So I was right about the seasoning. You really don't want to over season it. With this piece, is really well seasoned. You know, some people they over season it, some people they under season it. This one was really well done because you can taste the seasoning as well as the meat. So this seasoning, you could tell if you added more, it would be way too overpowerful for the seasoning. But it was really good. So to wrap up this video, I just wanted to read. Let's read here. This will be Psalms 18, verse 2. It says, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress and my deliverer. My God is my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold." Right? Remember that. You can always trust God for everything. When you can't trust people, you can always trust God. Alright? I'll leave it with that, friends. I'll see y'all later.